Hi, this is Kerby Anderson. You know, each day we take on the tough issues and provide a biblical perspective to them. The topics we cover are wide-ranging. Apologetics, theology, prophecy, creation and evolution, intelligent design, marriage, family, child-rearing, the millennial generation, trends in society, politics, economics, business, religious liberty, the Constitution, public policy, foreign policy, military policy, tensions in the Middle East, abortion, homosexuality, pornography, sexual ethics, media, technology, history, and America's godly heritage. We talk about anything that affects your faith, your family, or your freedom. So don't go anywhere, because Point of View starts right now.
Across America, live. This is Point of View. And now, Kerby Anderson.
Thank you for joining me. It is our weekend edition. Boy, do we have a lot to cover. We had some elections this week, religious liberty cases to talk about, some things on the campaign, upcoming debates, and so many topics. We'll do our best to try to get it in the 2 hours. And Penna, Dexter, Kelly Shackelford with us. Penna, always lots to talk about.
Well, there is, and the election, I thought, was a big story this week because, of course, we had the two situations, one in Kentucky where Matt Bevin, who was behind and is the sort of Tea Party conservative, won as governor, and also the Virginia Senate barely was held by conservatives, which is good since we were disappointed in the governorship when McAuliffe won. So in a sense, there's a message kind of percolating up, I think, from these elections. And one is that people are running away from Obama. He's not helping Democrats right now. And number two, that perhaps the social issues are more important than a lot of people like to say they are.
They were in Kentucky and in Houston,
They
weren't
were,
they?
because
Yes.
Matt Bevin, he pivoted from the economic issues and emphasized the social issues more. And, of course, the Kim Davis situation happened there in Kentucky. And so, you know, it always comes back to this, Kerby, that the social issues are important to huge numbers of people across the nation.
Kelly, I wanted to come to you, and also, of course, you can comment about that, but a lot of people have been wondering what happened with the coach up there in Washington. And, of course, many people probably saw you on Bill O'Reilly or other programs, but let's update people on what happened to Coach Joe Kennedy.
And I'll point out one of the things that you just mentioned, Penna did, the Houston vote. A lot of people say, well, that's Houston, it's conservative. Houston itself is not conservative.
Not at all.
It's a high Democrat percentages as well as minority percentages, and so that is a real signal when you have such a strong majority that really rebuffed this. And they had all these movie stars and people that came in to support that legislation, and people rejected it. So I think there was a pretty strong message, and I know there's an article that's going to be on Point of View that a lot of people can read, the Atlantic Monthly article that
we'll get to that later.
Really gets through this. The Joe Kennedy thing, Coach Kennedy is really, somebody needs to make a TV show out of this or a movie. I think everybody heard, we talked about what happened before, how he had gone, they had told him not to pray. He went out and did not take his players, and the other team ended up surrounding him and praying with him, and how moving that was. Well, I think what happened the last time was even more moving, and that is they suspended him because he went to his knee to give thanks after the game, and so he was not allowed to be on the field with the kids, and he was up in the stands. And as he said, look, he's a Marine for 20 years. He said his approach, if you break your arm, is here's a Band-Aid, now suck it up, that kind of a thing. And so here he was in the crowd, crying, because he'd never been separated from the boys where he couldn't help them, be with them. And, as the media was asking him those things, he just loves those young men. After the game, what was incredible, and there's pictures of this that people can see, the entire crowd, and they knew he couldn't go to his knee and pray, so the entire crowd locked arms around him and around the whole crowd, and they're all bowing their heads praying. Wow. Really powerful picture. And then, right after that, all the students, the players, start walking up to the stands one by one, some of them with tears streaming down their face so they could hug their coach before they went back into the locker room. So a really neat, I think, story, and I think it tells you that most of America, I think point of view listeners are told all the time, essentially by the media, that what you believe is not what people believe in this country. And I think this is what shows us the truth, that people really are behind this, and they're trying to make you feel like you're in the minority when you're really in the great majority.
We also, of course, have in studio with us Brad Fisk, and we are finishing off the 5th day of the Truth Team 360. How are we doing?
Doing great. What a perfect entry into our final day here as we talk about religious liberty and all these issues that we tackle every single day here in Point of View. And we're here for you every single weekday, okay? We're here for you with the programming, and we're asking you now to be with us. Would you respond to us with a financial gift? And I'm very pleased to announce we have a $20,000 match challenge.
Yeah. Great. Fantastic.
$20,000.
That's awesome. Thanks to some friends of the ministry that made that possible. What that means, my friend, is you give, let's say you give $1 a day. That's $360 a year, and you'll be able to join the Truth Team if you give at that level or above. Well, it becomes $720 just like that. So 100% ROI in your money guaranteed. Where else are you going to get a deal like that?
Pretty good deal.
So the phone number to call to be part of this final day is 1-800-347-5151. That's toll free, 1-800-347-5151. 5151. We have plenty of operators standing by today for your call, so you'll get in and out in about 2 or 3 minutes. You don't have to have the money you're pledging right now. It's a pledge for the future for the next year. And you can also go to pointofview.net.
Well, and that's an important way to go, because I know as we go through this, we're going to have a chance to hear from Penna and Kelly and some other things. But again, this is an opportunity for you. Pointofview.net. Click on that button that says join our team. But I look out there and I see some people waiting to get some phone calls. 1-800-347-5151.
Guess what? We had a $20,000 match a moment ago. We've already got some people checking in for us. We're down to 18,315 to go. So we already just took a little bite-sized chunk off of that right now. So
well, that's why we need to hear from you. You know, if you've been waiting to the last day, this is the last day. You know, that's as you've been with us before, perhaps, in which we've talked about this idea of Truth Team. Truth because we believe in truth. Team because we want you to be part of the team. And so for as little as $1 a day, $30 a month, that's $360 a year, you can join with us. And of course, there are some tremendous welcome gifts that we make available to you. You can go online to see them. There's a canvas tote bag. There's a sports bag. And then, of course, some people say, well, I might want to give a little bit more. And we figured out that sponsoring a minute a month is about $65
That's correct.
a month. And that's $780 a year. But you already mentioned we've got a few people that joined us at the $100
We do have somebody
level,
who did that.
And that's $1,200 a year.
That's right. And they get all 3 bags.
All 3
These
of the
are
bags.
Land's End high quality. This is good stuff. All right. It's good swag, as they say. So the phone number to call to be a part of this, please don't delay. Final day, 1-800-347-5151, 800-347-5151.
Might mention that for anybody that gives for any level, we have our Declaration of Independence and Constitution. Kelly, I'd like to give this to some members of Congress and maybe even Supreme Court. What do you think? You know,
pretty dangerous if people start reading this,
reading it and believing it. So again, it comes to anybody that gives at any level. But we're certainly looking for some of you to join the team. We have monthly bills, and if we have monthly income, those two match up. And Penna, you've been around long enough to know that if we can get a few more people to join the team, then we don't have to keep talking about finances. We're able to be self-supporting.
You know, and it really is a privilege. I mean, a lot of people are frustrated right now with where the country is. This is something positive that you can do to educate others and to help them understand what we're facing. And, you know, that's what we're about here at Point of View, and you can join the team.
1-800-347-5151.
We're looking for 6 callers during this break. Could you be one of 6 that say, I want to stand with Point of View Radio right now with my gift? Would you be one of 6? 1-800-347-5151.
You've already heard some things maybe you haven't heard anywhere else. We'll be talking about those all through the program.
Yes.
And that's one more reason to support this ministry. Again, you can go to the website. If you're near a computer, you can be listening to us and also actually joining with us. Or if you'd like to call us, this would be a good time to do so. 6 callers, 800-347-5151. 1-800-347-5151.
This is Viewpoints with Kerby Anderson.
Christians who do not want to participate in Obamacare have been able to opt out by joining one of the health care sharing ministries. In the past, I've talked about how this could be a real option for Christians. These groups do not actually provide health insurance, but they do allow members to send money to a designated individual or a company that is shared with a member with medical expenses. In order to join, you have to agree to the doctrinal statement and accept a few restrictions. For example, members promise to live a healthy lifestyle, no drugs, alcohol in moderation, etc. The benefit is not only lower cost, but also the opportunity to minister to others in an organization that is not subsidizing practices to which they might object. Unfortunately, some families are concerned that if they drop traditional health insurance, they might be vulnerable. What if they incur high medical expenses due to an accident or a major illness? These ministries argue that this would be a rare occurrence, but Dr. Merrill Matthews, in a recent article in Forbes, provides a solution to that potential problem. He describes a plan proposed by Bill Brand, which actually adds a life insurance policy with a critical illness component. It would include an accelerated benefit provision that would allow the insurer to write the beneficiary a check to cover medical expenses. Matthews runs the numbers and finds that this is still a great option. A family membership in one of these Christian health sharing ministries runs about $400 or $500 a month. A $1 million life insurance policy for a 50-year-old male or female would cost about $200 per month each. This means that the family might pay around $800 to $900 a month, and this is significantly less than an Obamacare policy. You'd also have the benefit of seeing whatever doctors you want. I think it's worth a second look. I'm Kerby Anderson, and that's my point of view.
Take Kerby and the Point of View team with you on the go with the Point of View app. Search for Point of View Radio at the Apple or Google Play stores. Point of View, Truth Team 360, Dr. Sean McDowell.
We clearly live in difficult times, especially for Christians. Sometimes it feels like the culture is just turning against us quickly. We need to speak up with compassion, but we need to speak up with truth in the way that Jesus did. That's one reason why I'm a big fan of Point of View, is they're dealing with cutting-edge, controversial subjects that the church sometimes doesn't want to deal with. But they do their homework, they do it informed, they also do it in a way that's practical so we understand the issues but know what we can do about them. Ministries like Point of View can only survive with the help of listeners. One of the reasons I think Point of View is so valuable is because they just deal with the cutting issues of the day in a manner that's informed, in a manner that's gracious, and in a manner that's making a difference. Point of View is standing up for truth, and they need your help.
Point of View, Truth Team 360.
Sean McDowell talking about Point of View, and he was in studio recently to talk about that. Brad, let's, if we can, update people, because this is Truth Team 360, and this is just a great opportunity for you to participate, and if you've waited till now, this is the last
time
day.
To do it. That's right. Hey, I want to say thanks to some people checking in early here from Mississippi. Thank you for that gift. There's $100 from Mississippi as well. And here's somebody who's joining the Truth Team. Listen, that's $1 a day, Kerby. That is such a, I mean, that is so doable. That is something that most people can do. And you think maybe that sounds too big. $30 a month $1 a day. Hey, join the Truth Team like this friend did. And then we also want to say thanks. Here's $100 a month joining our Century Club, and they're checking in from South Carolina, and somebody else checking in from Florida as well at the Century level, $100 a month. So thank you for coming aboard because every dollar you give right now will be doubled by some friends in the ministry. What that means is that money, that $20,000 is sitting outside of our total. Until we hit the $20,000, it stays there. So your call and your gift releases that amount of money into our total. So it's really important, Kerby.
It's kind of like there's $20,000 on the table, and now there's only $18,000.
Right.
But you wouldn't want to walk away. You wouldn't walk by a table with $20,000.
If you walk away, you don't get it. You got to grab it. So it's there for your grabbing.
So please give us a call, 1-800-347-5151, 1-800-347-5151. If you're near a computer, I know some of you just simply like to go to pointofview.net. Click on that button, and you can be doing that while you're listening to Penna Dexter and Kelly Shackelford. Kelly, we were just talking a little bit about Houston. I'd like to get your comments and Penna's comments, because in Houston, not only did you have people overwhelmingly vote down the proposition, but it was due not only to some education, but also, I think, a little bit of a backlash when you subpoena the sermons of pastors. I think even people that agreed with this proposition said the mayor went too far. Your thoughts?
No, I think definitely. I mean, you had all the churches uniting and everyone else, and so it's just interesting. I mean, they should never be able to, the victors in this night should have never been able to win, right? Because it was, I think, 60% or more were Democrats and minorities, and supposedly you had all these big movie stars and Sally Fields and all these people coming in, and all the pressure, and even the implication that was being made was that, well, the NCAA Final Four is coming, but that'll be taken away if you vote this way. And they did that for, I think, a number of different sports, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because you had both. You had the NCAA, and then you also had the possibility of the Super Bowl.
That's
so
right,
you had two.
Possibility of the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And what was amazing is to watch the vote occur first, where, everyone, didn't matter if they were Democrat or Republican, didn't matter if they were black or white, they all overwhelmingly came out and said, we do not want this. And it was like lightning fast. I mean, it took very little time for the NCAA to come out and said, we're not moving the Final Four, and for the NFL to say, hey, this is not going to be an issue for the Super Bowl. So what was interesting, again, this is that whole tip the other side, that intimidation, that, you don't have the majority, when in reality, everybody saw what people really think, and that is they don't want these outrageous new laws that they're passing in many cities, where they say, a transgender person, for instance, if they're a male in their body parts, they can go into the female or the girls' restroom or the girls' dressing room. They don't want that. People don't want that. That's not what they want in their city, and they're voting against these when they get the chance to vote on them.
It's telling, I think, that the city governments fight so hard against allowing the people to vote on these things. That happened in Houston. It's happened in other cities. Because once the people can vote on it, unless you can really snow the people and, talk about, they try to conflate, for instance, racial issues with this. And I think in Houston, the communication was done very well to say, no, this is not a racial issue. This is a moral issue. And, this mayor overreached. She said at one point this was about her.
Yep.
And she's an open lesbian, and she's got an agenda. And people just weren't buying it this time. But I do think it has a lot to do with churches banding together and communicating.
To intimidate the churches by subpoenaing the pastor's sermons.
One of the things we've done is I actually posted a couple of articles, one that we'll talk about again, the religious rights of teachers. That's one by your good friend Michael Berry. And then this one, liberals losing the culture war. That really comes from The Atlantic. But don't forget that we're in the midst also of Truth Team 360. And William actually is talking about the fact that he appreciates point of view and really wants to encourage you to give.
Yeah, I'm just, first of all, I thank you guys. Y'all's program is wonderful, and enjoy it every day. I learn so much every time I listen to it. Not only that, I want to encourage everybody listening to donate, because without our donations, I know that y'all won't be able to stay on the air. And it's just, I don't know where we get this kind of information if it wasn't from y'all.
Brad, that's what we were saying. If we can't stay on the air if we don't have someone supporting this ministry.
That's right. Now, this is a real critical time, Kerby, because this is our foundation, our financial foundation, and we're very excited. Earlier this week, we've had some conversations about some possible expansion and increasing the influence of Point of View into new markets. That cannot happen, though, until we are fully funded. 1-800-347-5151. That's toll free. 1-800-347-5151. 5151. Give your very best gift, and we're looking for 100% participation.
That's right. You know, we've been around for 43 years, and Kelly, I can even go back to a time when you were a student in law school and you were listening to this program.
Yeah, that's really before I was involved. I remember listening, and what it was they replayed it at night in the city where I was going to law school, and I heard it on the radio, and I was listening. I had no idea that there was anything out there, anything where you could actually think about what was going on and analyze what was going on in current events, in law, in politics, and all that from a Christian worldview. And I thought that was a really neat idea. Now, having no idea that I would be doing that for a living, and so it was a real blessing. And that's one of the things I would challenge all the listeners to listen to. They listened to Point of View because they heard it once for the first time. Now, there's no way that they could have supported the program that they didn't even know existed, right?
Right.
So one of the things I'd like them to think about is when they, put Point of View on the air somewhere by sending in their money, they're allowing somebody else to hear it for the first time. Mm-hmm. And it won't happen without them. So I would encourage everybody, think about somebody else you're going to impact, because you're going to give them good information. They're going to go to their circle of friends, and that influence is just going to widen. So do this not only because you're listening and it's something you value, but because you want to provide it to other people as well.
Brad, I just think it's about time let's hear from some of our listeners.
The lines are wide open, you guys. I look in the other room and I go, listen, there's a $20,000 dollar-for-dollar match on the table. And again, your gifts, whatever size gift you give, a single gift or a monthly gift, will be doubled. Okay, so that's just a great deal. 1-800-347-5151. That's toll free. 1-800-347-5151. You can always give online at pointofview.net.
You know, one of the things we're talking about is that this is quite a megaphone. Kelly was just talking about the megaphone that we are paying for, if you will, and the one that we want to expand. And Brad, you and I have talked about some other things that we can do, and Warren Kelly came in here earlier in the week to talk about some of the visions, but we can't go there unless we hear from you. And so this is a good time. We're going to a break. I know some of you are saying, I don't want to leave the radio because I love to hear what Kelly and Penna have to say. We're giving you an opportunity now to give us a call. That number is 1-800-347-5151. We're really trying to educate you and equip you and empower you to make a difference in your community. And a lot of us are concerned about where we're going. So how many phone calls we want to get?
We've got 8 lines open right now. So that's max 8 lines open. 1-800-347-5151. It's a 2 to 3 minute phone call. You don't have to have the funds in hand now. You're making a pledge for the future. That's always a big misunderstanding. And we're asking you to join the Truth Team. $1 a day. Everybody can do that pretty much. $1 a day, 360 for the year. 1-800-347-5151 or online
at, again, pointofview.net. Let's take a break and we'll continue our conversation. It's weekend edition, but it's also the 5th day of Truth Team 360.
Let's go.
We've got more right after this.
Have you ever come across a coupon or discount for something you really wanted and you pull it out but discover it expired yesterday? Well, that's where we are in this week's special Truth Team 360 event. Every gift today will have double the normal impact with our match fund, making your single or monthly gift doubled. That means your $30 a month gift becomes $60 toward our total. $65 becomes $130. A $100 gift becomes $200 a month. But it all ends today, and I can honestly say we need your help. Please call or visit our website or mail that check. 1-800-347-5151. Online, it's pointofview.net. Whether you give one time or monthly, your gift will be doubled, but you must step up today. 800-347-5151 and pointofview.net. By mail, Point of View, Box 30, Dallas, Texas 75221. For whatever you can do, we thank you. Point of View will continue after this.
You are listening to Point of View. The opinions expressed on Point of View do not necessarily reflect the views of the management or staff of this station. And now, here again, is Kerby Anderson.
Weekend edition, but it's also, of course, Truth Team 360. And so if you have not called, we really do need to hear from you. And we've had a number of people on the line. Matter of fact, almost everybody's on the phone. I think we have one open line.
Yeah, we have a couple open lines.
Looks like, okay, so we could still take your phone call before we get back into some of the things we're going to be talking about. Brad Fisk with me. And Brad, how are we doing?
We're doing great. We have a $20,000 match on the table thanks to some friends of the ministry. And we're chipping away at that. I'll get you an update at the next break. But in the meantime, we're just going to have some fun here for a minute because I want to talk about reasons people should give. Because I know for me, when I'm giving to something, I want to know why. Why do I give? Well, how am I investing in the ministry? So we're going to start with you, Kerby. We're going to go around the table. So a reason to give to Point of View.
Because we are concerned about the future of America. We see this biblical value spinning out of control. And this last election, we saw some possibilities for success. And I think that should be an encouragement to people to recognize how important it is to get the information out, to get intelligent voters to go to the polls and cast their values.
Okay, the phone number is?
1-800-347-5151.
That's 1-800-347-5151. Kelly.
All right, yeah. Let me go. Since I'm the lawyer, I'll be the bad guy, and I'll give the really crass reason why you should give that plays on your guilt a little bit, which is, as conservatives, we know nothing is free. I mean, you don't get things for free, and the people who are listening to this are using this. They're grateful for it. They use this information with their friends, with their conversations. It helps them in many ways. And then they don't pay for any of it. So there's an obligation, I feel like. When people are serving us and doing things, it's kind of like leaving a tip for the waiter. I need to do something to say I appreciate having this, and just for my own self, as well as providing it for other people.
Very good. Penna,
you're up.
Well, I just have to, first of all, just sort of confirm what both of you have just said, because Kerby, you said we just had a good week showing that social conservatives, Christians can make a difference. And I think when you have a positive, we always have so much that we're fighting. But when you have a positive, it's encouraging. So be encouraged by what happened this week, and know that what you do along the lines of pushing our biblical worldview, it actually makes a big difference in the elections. And then secondly, the stewardship. Christians have a stewardship responsibility.
That's right.
And what I want to say is radio is it's a unique way of influencing people. Think of the numbers. Think of the multiplier effect.
That's right.
Between if you walked in a living room and talked to 10 people about the issues, or if you came and talked on the radio about those issues, the numbers of people that you can influence. And one other, I think, uniqueness about Point of View over other radio and media is that, yes, we do have some choices in conservative media today, but we don't have anyone who digs as deep and takes the biblical worldview and meshes it with the news and the conservative worldview. We put it all together, and we do the research to do that, and then we try to bring the guests to you every day to help you understand these things. So I think you get a deeper a message here on Point of View, and it's something that needs to go out to more people. That's why we need your gift.
Wonderful. 1-800-347-5151. My reason is very simple. I'm a grandfather of 21, and there's a little 1-year-old granddaughter we watch every week in our home. And when I'm holding little Aurelia, and I'm looking into her face, and I'm wondering, Lord, what kind of a world is she going to have when she grows up? And I can't really answer that positively all the way through, because I'm seeing a decaying culture where we're moving one step and then another step and another step away from biblical values. And Point of View is a bedrock, preaching the biblical values of the Bible, period. The gospel of Jesus Christ, period. That's why we want you to give. Now, all these reasons together, we'll blow the phones up for the rest of the time. 1-800-347-5151. My friend, please call. Don't delay. 1-800-347-5151. 5151.
If you receive an email from us, we have a video clip that came from Josh McDowell, who was in studio with us. We also have posted it on the website, but I thought if you'd like to watch it or hear it right now, this is what Josh McDowell had to say.
I would encourage anyone to check out Point of View. Why? In today's world with the internet and everything, there's so much confusion out there. What is the truth? What really happened? What is it really about? One of the most important things today is to raise our young people, after we have determined it ourselves, to have a worldview, a perspective that is grounded in the Scriptures. As we look at the world, we can see it through the screen, the lens of the Scriptures. And when we can do that, usually we arrive at the point of truth and we see how our faith is relevant to everything that takes place around us. And I believe Point of View helps all of us to do that.
Many of you, perhaps if you are listening online, will also be able to hear the commentary by Penna Dexter, which we'll play in just a minute. You hear my commentary. We have the videos. We have the news information, just a lot of things that we do around here. And Brad, when people support Point of View, they're supporting more than just the 2-hour radio program. There's so much more to Point of View, as you found out.
I'll tell you, if you guys haven't been to the website lately at pointofview.net, you need to go over there, because it is rich in content, and it's changing every single day. There's new stuff going up. There's all kinds of great information there. I'm telling you, that's worth the price of admission right there. 1-800-347-5151. All the lines just opened up. Every line is open right now for you. 1-800-347-5151. A $20,000 match challenge on the table.
Help us out.
Every dollar you give will be doubled by some friends of the ministry. So we're just saying, how about $1 a day, $360 a month, a year? How about a couple other levels we have?
Well, again, $65 a month. That's a minute a month, I should say. That's $780 a year. And again, that becomes doubled. But the one that we've seen some people responding to is $100 a month. They say, well, I probably couldn't write a check for $1,200, but over a year we get $1,200. But then that $1,200 becomes $2,400. So again, 1-800-347-5151. Another good reason to listen to Point of View is you hear things here for the very first time, and one of those is the Sterling case. There's probably not one listener out here that even knows what this case is, and yet this is going to be a significant one. So tell us about something that we're learning about for the very first time, Kelly.
Yeah, this is the case, and people might have heard about some of the facts, but they probably don't know what's just happened. This is the Marine who was court-martialed. Not threatened with court-martial, was successfully court-martialed, which is essentially a criminal conviction, for having a scripture verse taped to the bottom of her computer as a Marine. No weapon formed against me, you shall prosper, from Isaiah.
Right.
And, this is a really disturbing opinion at the Marine Court of Appeals. It said in the first part of the opinion that, well, other Marines might walk by her workspace and be offended.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay? These are Marines, for the heaven's sake, okay?
Oh, my goodness.
There's laughter around the table now.
But the amazing thing is, later in the opinion, they said, we're rejecting this argument because we don't think that taping a scripture verse to your computer is a religious exercise, and therefore the Religious Freedoms Restoration Act can't be applied. Obviously, a really bad decision. The good news is you can appeal, and we just found out about the case at that point, so we have not been involved yet. But when we saw this, we went, "Oh my gosh, this is really important!" And so we appealed to what's called the Court of Military Appeals. That is the Supreme Court.
Like the Supreme Court, yeah,
of the military. So it's over all the branches, not just the Marines. It's over everything. They do not have to take cases. They're like the U.S. Supreme Court. They take whatever they want, and it's a small percentage. And so we really wanted them to take this case. And just within the last week, it was announced they are taking the case. And here's the good news. Paul Clement, a former Solicitor General of the United States, argued more cases before the Supreme Court than any lawyer alive in the last 10 years. He has agreed to be our lead counsel on this argument before the military Supreme Court. And think this precedent is going to be for all those who service in the military. And in particular, I just want people to think back, way back to the beginning of this country. There aren't a whole lot of these cases that go in the military. This is almost like being 10, 20 years in the United States of America and having the first religious freedom case come up. This is going to be huge, and it's a great opportunity for people to pray, get the word around, and we've really got to watch what happens in this one.
Brad, there you're hearing something for the very first time. You'll hear about this later, but you heard it today on Point of View.
And I can see how important, how crazy that is. I'm telling you, I hear stuff like that. Where is common sense? What's happened to that?
That's amazing. Well, the great news is, because things bad like that happens, now it's going to be an opportunity for a good decision that's going to protect those who serve in uniform from now on if we can get a good decision.
And that's what you're giving to, my friend, is you give us a call right now, 1-800-347-5151. The inside track, the inside information. We all like that.
Yes.
We all like the inside scoop. 1-800-347-5151. We have 7 lines open right now for you to get right in. You can also go online at pointofview.net. Just click on Join the Team right there to give your gift.
Please do so, and even if you go online, you can also listen to Penna Dexter's commentary, and that's one more thing you're giving to as well. 1-800-347-5151. 1-800-347-5151. Please call. We'll be right back.
You've heard the news. China is fully abandoning its one-child-per-family birth policy. Now it's a two-child-per-family policy. The Wall Street Journal described China's one-child policy as the most notorious of the Communist Party's intrusions into Chinese lives and one of the worst government intrusions on freedom in world history. The new policy will still limit the number of children a family has, now to 2 instead of 1. The Journal says this shows Beijing isn't ready to totally relinquish its grip on the homes and bedrooms of its people. Reggie Littlejohn, president of the human rights organization Women's Rights Without Frontiers, agrees. She has traveled the world attempting to convince national and international leaders to lean on China to drop its population policy. She says a two-child policy will not end any of the human rights abuses caused by the one-child policy, including forced abortion, involuntary sterilization, or the sex-selective abortion of baby girls. Reggie Littlejohn maintains that China's one-child birth policy has for most of its 35-year existence been more about the Chinese Communists' power and domination over the population than it has been about keeping the population at a certain level. The worst part of the policy has not gone away. It's still coercive. Political economist Nicholas Eberstadt says the Chinese government is simply unwilling to dispense with the instruments of control that have accompanied its birth policy. Plus, he says, there are issues like, quote, the difficulty of retasking the vast army of population control bureaucrats and the value of the hefty fines exacted for out-of-quota births. The change to a two-child policy was a demographic decision made at a meeting of China's top party leaders known as the Fifth Plenum. At that meeting, leaders laid out a 5-year plan for, quote, moderately high growth. But this change may be too little too late to avert growth. But China has known this for decades. China's population growth was already well below replacement when the one-child policy was worth the economic consequences of the rapid graying of China. A shrinking workforce is a real impediment to growth, but China has known this for decades. China's population growth was already well below replacement when the one-child policy was rolled out in 1980 and 81. The implementation was brutal to get the desired boy. Now, ultrasound facilitates sex-selective abortions. Last year, 116 boys were born for every 100 girls, a recipe for disruptive imbalance. 2 years ago, China issued a partial relaxation of its birth policy, allowing couples in which both spouses were only children to have 2 kids. Not enough couples applied for second birth permits to make much of a difference. Plus, there's just a sort of one-child mindset that's not quickly reversed. I have spoken with Chinese people who moved to America who were fine with the policy, but after living here a few years, they happily bore second children. What's needed in China is freedom. For Point of View, I'm Penna Dexter.
Point of View, Truth Team 360, Michael Craven.
I think it's very much, and this is what I think Point of View does so extremely well. It offers a public forum where intelligent, rational, reasonable discourse can occur in regard to the prevailing issues of our day. And the church is in desperate need of this kind of insight and understanding and awareness. And Point of View provides just that.
Point of View, Truth Team 360.
Michael Craven talking about the fact that if you don't like bad philosophy, get good philosophy. If you don't like bad programs, don't curse the darkness, light some lamps. And we need some of you to provide the fuel, if you will, to light some of those lamps right now.
We need some oil for the lamps.
That's what we need. Go for it.
1-800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. couple of great stories from the phone center just came in here. Somebody gave a very generous gift, and the husband is a contractor. So he plays Point of View at his building sites, and he gets lots of comments of people listening to the show at his building site. Somebody else called for the third time this week, and they kept upping their gift, and they finally said, okay, I give up. I'm going to join Team 360 and give $30 a month. And so anyway, that's just a couple of fun stories. Match. We started the show at $20,000. Mm-hmm. We're down to $14,900 to go. So that's still a pretty big mountain to climb in a little less than an hour. $14,900 to get that full amount pushed into our total for the week. It's critical, my friend, that you call. Don't delay. Pray about it, and just pray and obey is what I like to say, and do what God asks you to do. 1-800-347-5151 or pointofview.net is the other way you can give.
Through this week, we've had Truth Team 360, but we've also had the theme of Founding Fathers, and certainly we have benefited tremendously from some of the short commentaries by Bob Allen. He wanted to end this week by helping us think about the Founding Fathers a little bit, and in particular, understanding who the first founder was.
Is it possible America's most important founding father was born in France in 1509? From the time of the apostles and for more than 1,500 years after, virtually all political theorizing was produced by Christians and with biblical foundations. Augustine, Bishop of Hippo in the late 4th and early 5th centuries, taught that civil government was not part of the original creation. It was made necessary by the fall and to be significantly limited in scope. In the 12th century, John of Salisbury wrote 7 major works, including Polycraticus, and like Augustine, he clearly believed in a form of nullification, that tyrannical governments should be opposed. John taught that a leader was a servant of the law and not to use it for his own gain. In the 13th century, the Magna Carta, Thomas Aquinas, and many others. Then, that year of 1509 and the birth of that Frenchman. Renowned historian George Bancroft of Harvard wrote, "He that will not honor the memory and respect the influence of this Frenchman knows but little of the origin of American liberty." And Leopold von Ranke, another world-respected historian, said this Frenchman was, quote, virtually the founder of America. Do you know who they were talking about? This first founding father of America was John Calvin. And as much as he contributed to biblical forms of civil government, and as much as we could benefit from studying his works on that topic, it is even more vital to grasp something that Calvin himself did. The best way to reform the culture is to first reform the church. The gospel is the key to everything. Jesus is King. For Point of View, I'm Bob Allen with a point to ponder.
In studio with me today is Kelly Shackelford. You were just with, of course, David Barton, and looks at that as well. And when you look at the founders of this country, whether it's James Madison, John Adams, or Benjamin Rush and others, these were individuals that were Christians, and they applied their Christian values to the political realm. And you know now that you hear some Christians saying, well, I don't really think we should get involved in politics. What about this?
Well, that's obviously a very bizarre view. And I mean, it's sort of a separatist view almost, which is not Christianity. It's not, Jesus didn't say, yeah, go into your homes and your churches and stay there. Don't influence society. I mean, it's just not, that's not the way the point of a Christian is to represent Christ in every area of life.
Yes.
And that means in the voting booth. That means in public policy. I mean, we actually have a freedom here that our brothers and sisters around the world don't have. We get to pick whether our leaders are good or evil, whether the policies they passed are good or evil. And so we're essentially the king ourselves. And if we refuse to use that stewardship for good, then that's wrong. So, I don't even look at it as an obligation as much as what a privilege that we get to do that.
You know, it is a privilege, and everyone in the country does not have to be a believer. And we've got studies out now showing that the proportion of Americans who say they are Christian is dropping. But the ones who are believers, I mean, even in the early days of our country, they weren't all believers. But those people who did this work, who were brave and bold and risked their very fortunes and their lives to found this country, most of them were. And so, believers can do these positive, good things for the culture and the society and bring Christ to bear on the culture. And not only do they do it, but they also have God's power behind them. And it's like taking the first step. You take a step of faith and do what God is prompting you to do, and He will then give you that power. And I think that applies to what we're trying to do here today in getting people to support Point of View.
That you couldn't said it better, Penna. That's really right. I mean, I'm going to be blunt here for a minute. Picture, if you will, no Point of View. Picture us being gone, and picture the hole that's left in the information. And I'm not saying it's a threat, but I am saying it's reality, because we only do this a couple times a year. We really do depend on your gifts to continue the ministry. If we did not have you, we would not be here. And so I look in the phone room and I see all 8 lines open. So it's an opportunity for you. I'm not discouraged. I am very excited about this ministry and what you do. Voters' guides. You talk about books we're not going to hear anywhere else. Protecting our constitutional religious freedoms. That is huge, Kelly. That's just a gigantic thing that we must pay attention to. And your gift will make it happen. 1-800-347-5151. 1-800-347-5151. Ladies and gentlemen, we need your help.
We certainly do. I want to encourage you to get to that phone right now, because we're going to come up on a fairly long break.
We are.
For those of you that even listen to 2 hours, you have a break. And for those of you that only hear the first hour, this is your opportunity. And we have a lot more time to go. Now, let me just preview what I want to talk about in the second hour, because we got an election coming up here. And we wanted to ask Kelly some questions about voter guides and talk about some of the things Point of View has planned. Penna's got some material. We posted an article here about some of the candidates that got bumped from the next debate, others that got cut from the debate. So we'll see how that all plays out. So we've got a lot more to talk about, but we only want to do that once we know that we have the finances in tow so that we can do what we need to do and continue this. And we have that match. It's started at $20,000. Now it's at what?
$14,900 to go to clear up this match. We need some big gifts, and a lot of them right now. 1-800-347-5151.
Let me encourage you to visit the website, too. That's another place for you to go. And I know some of you might say, well, I don't really need to talk to anybody. And besides, I really enjoying the conversation that we always get a chance to hear from Kelly and Penna. You can simply go on your computer as you're listening here as well. Hit that button that says Join Our Team. For those of you that say, well, I'd like to know a little bit more about what you're going to send to us, we have the welcome gifts there. You can see the canvas tote bag. You can see the sports bag. And, of course, those of you that give at the $100 level, you can get all 3, including the executive travel bag. And of course, everybody gets a Declaration and Constitution. And I had some people saying, can I get a bulk number? I think they wanted 535. I think I know where they wanted to send them. And 9 more they wanted to send somewhere else. But nevertheless, those are the case. 1-800-347-5151. We need to hear from you. Can we hear right now?
1-800-347-5151.
Have you ever come across a coupon or discount for something you really wanted and you pull it out but discover it expired yesterday? Well, that's where we are in this week's special Truth Team 360 event. Every gift today will have double the normal impact with our match fund, making your single or monthly gift doubled. That means your $30 a month gift becomes $60 toward our total. $65 becomes $130. A $100 gift becomes $200 a month. But it all ends today, and I can honestly say we need your help. Please call or visit our website or mail that check. 1-800-347-5151. Online, it's pointofview.net. Whether you give one time or monthly, your gift will be doubled, but you must step up today. 800-347-5151 and pointofview.net. By mail, Point of View, Box 30, Dallas, Texas 75221. For whatever you can do, we thank you. Point of View will continue after this.
I just thank God for y'all. I listen to you every day, truly. I wanted to thank y'all for everything you do each day to inform Christian families and our community about the things we can do, and just the way you're so informative. I listen to you daily and love you guys and appreciate you so much.
God bless you, Kerby, for keeping this show so on track and for the decades of wonderful help to this nation that Point of View has been. We're all big fans of your work, and we pray that God will just prosper it.
As a Christian, over the years that I've followed this program, I am constantly challenged to be on guard and to evaluate what's going on. And if for no other reason, to protect the caliber and the truth of your programming, I need to participate and to back your program financially to ensure that the truth stays out there for people to hear, to view, and to be a part of.
This is Point of View Radio.
Hi, this is Kerby Anderson. Each day we take on the tough issues and provide a biblical perspective to them. The topics we cover are wide-ranging. Apologetics, theology, prophecy, creation and evolution, intelligent design, marriage, family, child-rearing, the millennial generation, trends in society, politics, economics, business, religious liberty, the Constitution, public policy, foreign policy, military policy, tensions in the Middle East, abortion, homosexuality, pornography, sexual ethics, media, technology, history, and America's godly heritage. We talk about anything that affects your faith, your family, or your freedom. So don't go anywhere, because Point of View continues right now.
Across America, live. This is Point of View. And now, Kerby Anderson.
Thank you for joining me today here on Point of View, and we are talking about Truth Team 360. So it's also, of course, our weekend edition. So lots of things going on today. And if you've just joined us, let me mention the fact that as we come to the last day of Truth Team 360, we had a $20,000 match challenge, and we still have much more to do this hour. So if you've been waiting to the very last hour, you're listening to it right now. This is the last hour, and I know how many individuals actually sometimes procrastinate, but Brad Fisk has been joining me all week. And Brad, how we doing in terms of the match?
Let's talk about the match. We started at $20,000 beginning of last hour. We're down to $14,025 to go. Very, very doable. Look, we could have 15 people at $100 a month, and it's done.
Yes.
I mean, it's that simple to get to the end. So let's just run to the finish line this hour by giving us a call. Every dollar you give, a single gift, a monthly gift, will be doubled. That Truth Team 360, that's $1 a day, $30 a month. That becomes $720 when you give that 360. 1-800-347-5151. Toll free 800-347-5151. And we've got two people on the line. The rest of the line's open.
Well, we certainly want to hear from you, and that's an opportunity for you to join with us. And if you waited to the last hour, this is the last hour, so don't wait any longer.
All procrastinators, forward.
Yes, and of course, also you can visit the website pointofview.net. One of the things I want to talk about is the campaign and elections, and even before we came on to the program here, Penna and Kelly, Brad was asking all sorts of questions about, well, do you do a voter's guide? Do you connect up to people with voter's guides and the rest? And I pointed out that Kelly focuses more on religious liberty, but he, in the past, has been involved with that. And of course, Brad, having worked with Focus on the Family, and you have worked with them as well, there are these family policy groups all over the country, and we always provide links so that any listener, we're in 40 different states, could actually go to the map that we're going to put up there and find out what their local policy groups are doing, or what Concern Women for America, we had Penny Nance on this week, for example, or what American Family Association, we had Tim Wildman on this week, and they can find all those voter guides, and those are invaluable if we're going to actually get people to vote intelligently.
Well, absolutely. I mean, now I ask people to think. I mean, if people are really knowledgeable, let's say they listen to Point of View, they're people who stay in touch, they probably know who the president is. They probably know maybe who their U.S. senator is. Almost nobody knows who their state representative is, who their state house member, their state senator, all these local races. And that's one of the advantages to the voter's guide is, you want to be able to know what you're voting between. And so the voter's guides, they don't tell anybody who to vote for. They have to be nonpartisan. But they do provide information. Well, candidate A has been endorsed by, the Gay and Lesbian Civil Rights League, this, that,
Planned
and the other,
National Abortion Rights League,
and
whatever.
Then you look at the other candidate, and we've seen this for judge too, you know. And the other judge is like they've been endorsed by, Focus on the Family or any of the group, and you just start to see quickly. Okay, I get where these two people are coming from.
Right.
I feel like I've got some information now. I'm empowered to vote on the person that I think would most represent, my policy positions and what I think is good. And that's something that everybody should be doing. Everybody's going to have a chance to vote. they need to make sure they do it in a way that's responsible and that really makes a difference.
Penn, I'd love to come to you as well. I mentioned your name when we were talking with Penny Nance about the old days of Concerned Women for America. Used to say sometimes, Marlon Maddox used to say that the most dangerous person out there was a woman with a fax machine. Now I'd say it was a woman with an email address. But we talked about, and Penny was saying, okay, most of you listening to Point of View, you're probably registered to vote, but you probably know like-minded people that aren't even registered to vote. So that's step number one, don't you think?
That's step number one. And you know what happens? This even happens to me when I'm facing an election that's maybe not the presidential election. It's the election, like in Texas, we had an election on constitutional amendments this week. I'm like, I had to kind of do my homework before voting. And that's what you have to do, is do your homework before voting. And that's what we try to help you do with the find out who does in every area of the country, and we pull that together for you. That's a great help and big service. And, you know, that's what we need as citizens. In order to be good citizens, we need information. And so voter guides is one area, one thing we can do. There's so much more. Just our radio broadcast every single day is another way.
And one of the things that breaks my heart every election is you see somebody from a church, maybe your church, that really feels convicted that, you know, they're looking at the leadership and they're just not seeing anybody represent the kind of values that the Lord would want represented.
Right.
And so they decide they're going to sacrifice what it's going to take for their family, and it's going to take a lot of time. They're going to have to go knock door after door. They're going to have to really work hard, and they know that people are going to say bad things about them and all this, but they're willing to do it because the Lord has caused them to do this. And I just think of those people and all they're going through and all they're giving to do that. And then people in their own church, and the church next door, and the church down the street, I didn't have time to look into this, and so I'm just not going to vote.
Yes.
And it just makes you sad to think about that here's a person that really is giving it all, and all we have to do is make sure we go and support those kind of people, so that we'll encourage more of those kind of people, so that we'll have more models of those type of people. And so it really is something easy to do, and something that's a responsibility. And the odds are that if your church is a decent sized church, there probably is somebody from your church running for something. And if not, it's there's probably another church that's very similar to yours that somebody is. Well, see what you can do to help those people, because they're really going through a lot. I mean, some of them. The things I'm thinking of, some of the people I know right now who are just some of the finest Christian people I know, who are under criminal investigations and all this because they're being attacked,
Yes.
because they're doing the right thing. And so we need to make sure and support those good people who run and are putting themselves out there to be public servants for us.
You know, Brad, you hear me so often talk about trying to equip our listeners, and that's
right.
one of the ways in which we equip them. We actually provide all the links. In the past, we even provided our own voters' guides, but these are resources where, as you go to our website, and we will be developing this year, you can click on that button for that state, and up will come all the different voters' guides: Eagle Forum, Concerned Women for America, the Family Policy Group, American Family, all sorts of different groups that you would want to know about, and then as well any other resources that you might need. One of those, of course, Kelly has provided to us and we've made available, and that is what churches can or cannot do in terms of the election, so you know where you stand legally. And we just try to give you a whole lot of resources, but when you give to Point of View, you're really helping equip not only yourself, but other individuals who maybe don't know too much about the political process.
You know, I've heard it said, and we could talk about this in the next segment, that this election could be a big game changer for a long time to come, depending on the outcome. And we'll talk more about that. And you know what? You giving to Point of View will allow us to continue to communicate the truth with a capital T. That's why we call it Truth Team 360. 1-800-347-5151. Oh my goodness. I've got 5 people sitting there doing other things, not answering phones. 1-800-347-5151. 5151. Let's get them busy. Let's get 5 of you right now to give us a call with your very best gift. Join the Truth Team at whatever level you can. 1-800-347-5151, and always online at pointofview.net. That's pointofview.net.
We encourage you to go right now. And again, if you just joined us, you can find out more about this. Just go to our website, pointofview.net, join our team. Everything's right there. We'll be right back.
This is Viewpoints with Kerby Anderson.
Christians who do not want to participate in Obamacare have been able to opt out by joining one of the health care sharing ministries. In the past, I've talked about how this could be a real option for Christians. These groups do not actually provide health insurance, but they do allow members to send money to a designated individual or company that is shared with a member with medical expenses. In order to join, you have to agree to the doctrinal statement and accept a few restrictions. For example, members promise to live a healthy lifestyle, no drugs, alcohol in moderation, etc. The benefit is not only lower cost, but also the opportunity to minister to others in an organization that is not subsidizing practices to which they might object. Unfortunately, some families are concerned that if they drop traditional health insurance, they might be vulnerable. What if they incur high medical expenses due to an accident or a major illness? These ministries argue that this would be a rare occurrence, but Dr. Merrill Matthews, in a recent article in Forbes, provides a solution to that potential problem. He describes a plan proposed by Bill Brand, which actually adds a life insurance policy with a critical illness component. It would include an accelerated benefit provision that would allow the insurer to write the beneficiary a check to cover medical expenses. Matthews runs the numbers and finds that this is still a great option. A family membership in one of these Christian health sharing ministries runs about $400 or $500 a month. A $1 million life insurance policy for a 50-year-old male or female would cost about $200 per month each. This means that the family might pay around $800 to $900 a month, and this is significantly less than an Obamacare policy. You'd also have the benefit of seeing whatever doctors you want. I think it's worth a second look. I'm Kerby Anderson, and that's my point of view.
Take Kerby and the Point of View team with you on the go with the Point of View app. Search for Point of View Radio at the Apple or Google Play stores. Point of View, Truth Team 360, June Hunt.
It would be tragic if Point of View did not exist, because not many programs are targeting areas where we need to learn how to think, where we need to learn how to respond, where we need to learn what our options are for active involvement, even how we can share truth with other people. And because Point of View is relevant, dealing with relevant topics with real people, presenting real answers, it's right where people are, and it's meeting a very real need. This is a wonderful opportunity you have to literally help the ministry be the most effective that it can be through your gifts, through your financial support. I highly recommend it.
Point of View, Truth Team 360.
June Hunt is in studio with us every once in a while and was talking about the importance of Point of View. As we've mentioned all through the week, but let me mention it again, we're looking for your monthly support. We've found that the actual bills come in monthly, and if the income comes in monthly, it kind of matches up pretty well. So again, we appreciate some of you that have been able to give a one-time gift, but we're looking for some of you to join with us monthly. That could be as little as $30 a month, $1 a day. It could be $65 a month, or it could be $100 a month, or whatever you choose. I don't want to even limit just to those three potential opportunity levels, but again, those are three giving levels, and we encourage you to do so.
A key strategic point to understand here is when you give monthly, the entire year of your gift counts toward the match.
Yes.
So that's huge.
What's our
Speaking
total?
of which,
Yes.
$11,200 to go. So we are chipping away.
Yeah.
1,000 by 1,000 by 1,000. But ladies and gentlemen, by the end of this hour, we need to have it done. So give us a call, if you could, please, with your very best gift at 1-800-347-5151. Even $10 a month, $20 a month. We get to count that for the entire year.
That's what we're looking for. 1-800-347-5151. We've got 1, 2, 3 people available to take your call right now. And you can also give at pointofview.net. That's pointofview.net. Click on Join the Team, and it's very easy to get that filled out. Brad, you asked a question, so let's go around the round table. How important is this election? Kelly Shackelford?
Well, I mean, it probably won't surprise people why I say it's, I think most people think it's a very important election, but I think it's an important election in ways that people aren't thinking, and that is the Supreme Court. If you look at the last, 3 to 4 decades, we have had a Supreme Court with a number of conservatives and a number of liberals and swing votes in the middle.
Yes.
It has not been controlled by liberals or conservatives for many years. This election will probably change that. Right now we have 4 liberals, 4 conservatives, and 1 who goes back and forth. Most people think the next president is probably going to replace 2 justices, maybe 3, but definitely 2. Well, if they replace 2, it's either going to be all conservative or all liberal as far as a majority. Mm-hmm. And that could mean dramatic things.
Wow.
I mean, there are 4 members of the court right now who think that there is no individual right to own a firearm.
Yeah.
Add 1, the Second Amendment's gone. Okay. There are 4 members who think there shouldn't be displays of religion in public, like at veterans memorials. Add 1, they're all taken down. Again, but you can go the other way, and you can say you add 1 on the other side, and Roe v. Wade is over.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're talking about breathtaking things either way that will probably be determined by who the president is. So, and again, very few people think about that. Most people are thinking, hey, who will let me keep an extra $1 in my pocket?
Yeah.
Or who, and it's like, you need to be focusing on the thing that really will impact your life, your freedom, the thing that makes America what it is. And so I think it's going to be a really, really important election.
So who you vote for president and Senate are important. Penna, there are a lot of other important elections too, aren't there?
Well, there are. To answer that question, I was worried after Barack Obama was reelected, wondering if we would ever have a conservative in the White House again. Mm-hmm. And I still wonder that. I don't know if we will, because I just am not, I don't have a real handle on the electorate. I think this election will determine what the future elections will be, because when you have a liberal mindset that controls the nation and moving towards socialism, you bring all these addicted people that are addicted to government for their economic well-being. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not really well-being, but and so we've had this president come in and do things that our Congress would never allow. Because they won't, he goes around them. I mean, this president changed marriage, the definition of marriage for, the laws, not for us believers, but for how the country handles things. He has just held on to the support of a sick organization like Planned Parenthood. He has changed our immigration policy unilaterally. He is changing our environmental policy unilaterally. He's doing things that the Congress, now controlled by Republicans, would never allow him to do, and even some Congresses that weren't completely controlled by Republicans wouldn't allow him to do. So there's so much damage that's been done. Sometimes damage can be reversed in the healthcare system. I forgot that little part of it. Yeah. Sometimes these things can be reversed if they're done within a few years. But if they get entrenched into the culture and the society and too many people are dependent on big government, then you can never change it. So that's why I think that, we've moved so far to the left that our opportunity to turn some of it around is now or never.
And here's the thing, the last election, why did the conservative side lose? The real answer is that born-again Christians didn't vote.
Right. 39 million did not vote.
That is absolutely incredible.
13 million were not registered to vote, and 26 million who were registered to vote did not vote, according to George Barnes.
And so, to me, this is going to determine. Again, did some of those not vote because Mitt Romney was a Mormon Evidently so. I mean, that's part of it. Did some, because, I mean, there's lots of reasons. Hopefully, we're going to see a lot of those people show up to vote. And one of the ways that can happen is everybody who listens to Point of View, these are the leaders, these are the activists, these are the ones that people come to.
Right.
So are you going to go with the materials you're going to get from Point of View? Like maybe just go down to your post office or your voter registration center and just grab some of those cards and bring them to your Sunday school class and say, hey, everybody here who doesn't know if you're registered or not, make sure and fill out one of these cards and you'll be registered. That's all it takes. And all of a sudden, your Sunday school class, just take that on as your project, right? Or your life group or your whatever it is, Bible study. You can make a change just by doing that with where God has put you, and Point of View can be valuable for you in that, but you can begin to change that number of people that aren't voting.
You guys have got me really fired up. You really do. I'm sitting here just jumping out of my skin, just listening to you to talk about the possible consequences if Christians don't stand up and vote and participate. And it just fires me up to think about Point of View, the influence that we're not having is huge, that we could have if we just had the funding. We've got ideas for expansion and for other things to broaden the Point of View scope, but we cannot do it without your help to give. And I just get so fired up about this. We must continue to have a voice to hear stuff like that because we're not hearing it elsewhere. We're really not. So we're asking you to join the team, the Truth Team. At minimum, $1 a day, $360 a year is a way to get in and get started with your support. 1-800-347-5151. Every line except one, I think, is open. I'm telling you, let's just flood the lines right now. If you believe like I do, we must take back our country for biblical values. Give us a call.
We do encourage you to develop a Christian worldview because that's part of the education process. And this is what Joe had to say.
I just can't even begin to tell what it meant to me, especially now being a father, the values and things that I hear on Point of View and how you shaped my worldview and made me passionate.
So again, just an opportunity to shape worldview. That's really the key. And again, if you're talking about 39 million born-again Christians who did not vote, the first step is to find those 13 million who are not registered to vote and get them registered. And then to find the 26 million that did not vote last time, even though they were registered, and to get them in the game. I know you love football. You watch Baylor all the time. And of course, you're going to have a quarterback that won't have the uniform on, so he can't get in the game. Well, that's kind of like some of these individuals. If they're not registered to vote, they cannot get in the game.
That's right.
There are others that'll have the uniform on that'll sit on the bench and won't get in the game. And we need to figure out some ways to do that. And we've talked about that with Gary Frazier and George Barna and others. And so again, that's one of the dreams that we have.
It is.
To help other groups that are already trying to do that. But again, we need the financial resources in order to make that happen,
really do.
Don't we?
1-800-347-5151. Thanks to all who have given so far, by the way. We would be remiss. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But if you haven't done that yet, now's a good time. 1-800-347-5151.
1-800-347-5151. Of course, the website, pointofview.net. If you'd like to know a little bit more about Point of View and actually join the team, again, 1-800-347-5151. We got about $11,000 to go. We need to hear from you.
Have you ever come across a coupon or discount for something you really wanted and you pull it out but discover it expired yesterday? Well, that's where we are in this week's special Truth Team 360 event. Every gift today will have double the normal impact with our match fund, making your single or monthly gift doubled. That means your $30 a month gift becomes $60 toward our total. $65 becomes $130. A $100 gift becomes $200 a month. But it all ends today, and I can honestly say we need your help. Please call or visit our website or mail that check. 1-800-347-5151. Online, it's pointofview.net. Whether you give one time or monthly, your gift will be doubled, but you must step up today. 800-347-5151 and pointofview.net. By mail, Point of View, Box 30, Dallas, Texas 75221. For whatever you can do, we thank you. Point of View will continue after this.
You are listening to Point of View. The opinions expressed on Point of View do not necessarily reflect the views of the management or staff of this station. And now, here again, is Kerby Anderson.
I've been listening to Point of View for, I don't know, 30-something years, I guess, and I've met Marlon Maddox in the 80s. I don't remember early 80s, I believe. So I've been listening to it ever since, and had my little shop here. I started, when I opened it up, I had my radio set on KBJS here, and I started giving $20 a month. Sometime, I don't remember, right after that 20 years ago, and I've been thinking every day. I keep thinking I need to go in there and tell them I'm going to give more. And you know, I don't make a lot of money or anything, but I believe in that we're supposed to give a lot more than what we do, and we don't really have to worry about ourselves that much because God says He's going to, you know, He'll take care of all of our needs according to His riches and glory, and I can't compare with His riches.
Again, somebody that was listening for 30 years and decided to give and has been continuing to give. And you know, this week, Brad, we had something else. We had, I think, 2 different individuals who are listening to the program for the very first time and decided to give.
That's right.
So I sort of want to say to some of you that have been listening for years and have never given anything to Point of View, why don't you think about whether or not you could join with us and be part of that Truth Team 360?
The challenge is out, and we are just a whisker short of being halfway through the match challenge. Started last hour at $20,000. We're down to $10,900 to clean this match up, and we have less than a half hour to get it done. So please, we can't leave any of this money on the table. Would you please give us a call right now? Is a great time to give and join the Truth Team. That's $360 a year, $30 a month or more, and there's a couple other giving levels as well.
$65 a month, that's sponsoring a minute a month, or $100. And we've seen a number of you come in at $100 a month. That's $1,200 a year, which then immediately becomes $2,400.
That's right.
And that is a great opportunity.
Huge jump forward.
Terrific. You know, we went around the table getting some people's comments about why they give and those kinds of things. And so just before we do so, let me encourage you to give us a call, 800-347-5151. But a while back, Pamela kind of went through a list of why she supports Point of View.
Well, I've got to talk fast because I've got so many things I appreciate you for. One is when we're going to hear about the debates, and I hear all these people talking about debates, and I say, wait a minute, I'm going to listen, and Point of View will talk about it, and then I'll know the truth about the debates. So then I'm able to speak more wisely, and I appreciate the action items that you put on so that we know where and how to do those action items, because I don't always know exactly how to go about it, but you've got it well posted. I appreciate the commentaries each of you write on your website. I appreciate things that you put on the website that we can repost onto our Facebook. I appreciate Friday when you're all around the round table and we get to hear a whole lot of you. You know, what we're doing about religious persecution or whatever's going on Fridays. I like to hear all of you talking at once. I like the different authors that you put on. You know, I like knowing why they wrote it, how they wrote it, their backstory, sort of. And so it's books that I would never even know about had you not had them on. I appreciate the apologetics program so that I know how to defend my faith. I appreciate that I met Kerby in Augusta, Georgia, and I appreciate that you come out and meet your listeners.
Well, again, just a good list of things. I'm not even going to try to cover all of them, but that was a good setup for the fact that we have a debate coming up, and we have an article that we posted.
Speaking of talking over each other.
Yes, isn't that amazing?
And I'm going to talk one more time. I got to give the phone number because we're coming on crunch time. 1-800-347-5151. Toll free, 1-800-347-5151. 5-1. Let's fill every single line right now.
You know, she reminded me of the debates because you remember the thing that with Ted Cruz set record with the response of the dial-in audience, and all the analysis, and it was because he took the first 5 questions because he's got such an incredible brain,
audio memory nobody,
and he squunched all those questions into 5 words apiece, and he went bang, 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 and then he hit them with his, I think we would like to be talking about substance, and the crowd went crazy. She just did that. She just went through all those things. She had them all in the back of her brain. So she might be a great debater and not know it.
That's for sure.
I remember when that call came in.
Yes.
I remember when she called.
You were saying both of us, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I hadn't even thought of some of those things. Kerby going out to meet the listeners. That's true. I'm sure they appreciate it. They probably love meeting you.
Well, what about the debates? We have Chris Christie and Mike Huckabee going to be on the kids' table. And if I remember right, we have a couple of them, George Pataki and some others that aren't even going to be in the kids' table debate. So what's going on here, Penna?
Lindsey Graham will not be there.
Graham, that's the other
which,
one. Yeah.
It's that one's kind of interesting to me because he's a senator and he's got a lot to say about foreign policy and, But they made the decision, and they had to cut somewhere. And, I'm glad to see I just wish some of the candidates would drop out pretty soon. It's getting 3 months away from Iowa now that we need to have some semblance of normalcy here. But there's just something that rubs me the wrong way about the media making these calls, and with Fox Business is making that call. So is that going to stand now for the rest of the debates? What if Chris Christie, he had this great video out talking about
everybody's
life.
Been talking about
being so
pro-life
now that could have given him a bump, but he's
yeah.
in the kids' table now. Just I don't know. That gave me the willies. But it is going to be nice to have only 8 people in the main debate.
Easier to follow.
I mean, I'm the same way. I wish the candidates would do this voluntarily. I believe there's a lot of silliness going on. I mean, when you're under 1% and you've had months to give it your best shot, and you've been included in these other debates, even if you were the early debate, if you're still polling it between 0 and 1, get out of the race.
Right.
Because all you're doing is clogging things up. And I just think it's very selfish and self-focused when people are doing that. I understand. They think that the miracle is going to happen in Iowa and everything's going to change, okay? And it's very unlikely this time because of the way it's set up. I mean, Iowa used to be Iowa, and then you have New Hampshire, and then you have South Carolina, and then a month later you start another one. This year, in the first 30 days, there are 21 states. Yeah. So you can't catch fire, get your campaign in order, do all that. You've got to be ready now. So we're getting close, and I think it's good to begin to start to pare down and look at the real candidates, because we've got to make some decisions on that. Now, the only thing I would say about, I think the polling is a good way if they're taking a lot of polls. The problem is they included a poll that was a little questionable, that wasn't really, and that seems to be skewing things in a different direction. That was the only thing that was a little questionable. But I like the idea of taking these people who are less than 1% and saying, if you can't get 1%, you're not in the debate. Because I think that's a good thing to maybe they need some hints if they're not catching it already from what's going on.
There are people that I like hearing that I know need to drop out soon. I mean, Mike Huckabee, I'm going to miss him on the main stage, but, I've also been an advocate of saying Mike Huckabee doesn't have money. He hasn't really gotten a campaign together in a serious way, I don't think. So he should probably go. Rand Paul sometimes makes some great points, but, he's very low in the polls, too. And we've got to start getting we've got to yank the substance out of some of these others, because there's a couple of front runners that don't have any substance. I mean, they don't have much substance. They don't have real clear answers on the questions that we have. And that's what debates are supposed to be for.
Yes.
Yeah. So hopefully we can get some of that.
Again, we need to hear from you. We've got a number of people on the phones, but I see 2 or 3 standing around waiting for that next phone call. So 1-800-347-5151, 1-800-347-5151. We really do need to hear from you. And let me just mention, we talk about equipping you and educating you. One of the things we've done is we've posted these articles, one on the religious rights of teachers, and that is written by one of the colleagues of Kelly Shackelford. Michael Berry's been on the program with us, which I doubt you would have seen, although our good friends at Family Research Council quoted it, but it's from Atlantic. And then we have the one, the candidates who got bumped or cut. And so some of the material that we've talked about today is there. And Brad, that's one of the reasons why I also encourage people to support Point of View. You listen to some talk shows, they don't cover all the stories. But even when they do, they sometimes just tell you what they thought. But I think lots of times people say, well, okay, I really trust Kelly and Penna and Kerby, but I want to read it for myself.
That's right.
And we make it available to people. And so as we go to another break right now, this is coming down to the last few minutes
We are at the wire.
We need to hear from you. So 1-800-347-5151, 1-800-347-5151.
Let me remind you, we are in a match challenge right now. $10,900 is sitting on the table, not going into the Point of View total until it is matched by your gift. Critical time to give. A single gift, a monthly gift of any amount, every dollar you give will be doubled, and it'll chip away at that match challenge. And we've got till the top of the hour to get it done.
We certainly do. And again, I know that some of you just appreciate the good content that comes from Kelly Shackelford and Penna Dexter. And so again, for those of you that say, I don't want to miss anything, this is why you want to dial that right now.
All the lines open.
And then you'll have an opportunity to It only takes a minute or two.
That's right. 1-800-347-5151. All lines open. 800-347-5151 or pointofview.net. Come on, everybody participating. Let's go!
You've heard the news. China is fully abandoning its one-child per family birth policy. Now it's a two-child per family policy. The Wall Street Journal described China's one-child policy as the most notorious of the Communist Party's intrusions into Chinese lives and one of the worst government intrusions on freedom in world history. The new policy will still limit the number of children a family has, now to 2 instead of 1. The Journal says this shows Beijing isn't ready to totally relinquish its grip on the homes and bedrooms of its people. Reggie Littlejohn, president of the human rights organization Women's Rights Without Frontiers, agrees. She has traveled the world attempting to convince national and international leaders to lean on China to drop its population policy. She says a two-child policy will not end any of the human rights abuses caused by the one-child policy, including forced abortion, involuntary sterilization, or the sex-selective abortion of baby girls. Reggie Littlejohn maintains that China's one-child birth policy has for most of its 35-year existence been more about the Chinese Communist power and domination over the population than it has been about keeping the population at a certain level. The worst part of the policy has not gone away. It's still coercive. Political economist Nicholas Eberstadt says the Chinese government is simply unwilling to dispense with the instruments of control that have accompanied its birth policy. Plus, he says, there are issues like, quote, the difficulty of retasking the vast army of population control bureaucrats and the value of the hefty fines exacted for out-of-quota births. The change to a two-child policy was a demographic decision made at a meeting of China's top party leaders known as the Fifth Plenum. At that meeting, leaders laid out a 5-year plan for, quote, moderately high growth. But this change may be too little too late to avert the economic consequences of the rapid graying of China. A shrinking workforce is a real impediment to growth, but China has known this for decades. China's population growth was already well below replacement when the one-child policy was rolled out in 1980 and 81. The implementation was brutal to get the desired boy. Now, ultrasound facilitates sex-selective abortions. Last year, 116 boys were born for every 100 girls, a recipe for disruptive imbalance. 2 years ago, China issued a partial relaxation of its birth policy, allowing couples in which both spouses were only children to have 2 kids. Not enough couples applied for second birth permits to make much of a difference. Plus, there's just a sort of one-child mindset that's not quickly reversed. I have spoken with Chinese people who moved to America who were fine with the policy, but after living here a few years, they happily bore second children. What's needed in China is freedom. For Point of View, I'm Penna Dexter.
Point of View. Truth Team 360.
Hi, everybody. Max Lucado here. I want to join the loud chorus of applause and appreciation for Point of View as well as Christian Radio. The unique voice of this powerful ministry over the airwaves is absolutely essential in this day and age. And so I stand with those of you who support and encourage this powerful ministry. I thank Kerby and for the faithful friend that he's been to me all these many years. May God bless this ministry. Let's stay behind it.
Point of View. Truth Team 360.
Max Lucado, both Penna Dexter and I have interviewed him over the years. It's been great to have him in studio. But again, we are coming to the end of the Truth Team 360, and we certainly need to hear from you right now. We have some individuals on the phone, but we have one or two that are still waiting for your phone call. 1-800-347-5151.
That's 1-800-347-5151. We've whittled down to 9,400 left in the match, and we're down to the final 10 minutes. So it's really critically key point here to give us a call with your very best gift. You can also give online at pointofview.net. So it's 1-800-347-5151, pointofview.net.
We'll go around the roundtable in just a minute to hear what are some good reasons to support Point of View. But as I've said before, you hear things at Point of View for the very first time. Kelly, you've got an announcement that I'd love to have you make.
Yeah, and again, this is one of the reasons people listen to Point of View, because I bet most people have not heard this, but the Supreme Court has just granted cert in all 7 of the Obamacare cases involving Christian ministries or nonprofits.
Explain cert.
Cert means the Supreme Court just takes what they want to take. They don't have to take things. You don't appeal and you get their appeal before them. They take usually about 1%. They get about 8,000 requests and take about 80 cases. They just took, and I think most people know Hobby Lobby, right? Obamacare was telling all the Christian businesses, you have to provide abortifacients for your employees. And they're like, we can't do that. And so it was, well, you're going to be fined millions of dollars a day. You're going to be bankrupted. And so they had to go all the way to the Supreme Court, and they got a victory. And everybody thought, oh, well, this is over. No, that victory was only for for-profit corporations. Non-profits, like, the ministries you listen to on the radio, everything except churches. Churches are exempt, but your church school is not exempt. All the other nonprofit organizations are not, and they are now being told you will provide abortifacients for your employees. Little Sisters of the Poor, for instance, right?
Nuns.
They just took all those cases. The Supreme Court has said we are going to decide this now for the nonprofits, and I'll tell you, about 80% of these cases below have been losing. So this is a really important case, and the fact that the Supreme Court took it gives us some hope that maybe we'll get a victory and once and for all stop this attempt by the government to force people to violate their faith.
Probably heard it here first, here on Point of View. That's a reason to support, along with many other reasons that we've provided around the roundtable today.
It is indeed. 1-800-347-5151. 5 lines open for you right now. 1-800-347-5151. Looking for that 3 more people at that $100 a month level.
That would be
that would
perfect.
really chip away at that, because again, it becomes $200 a month.
Yes.
Every monthly gift is doubled. Every single gift is doubled. But those monthly gifts are really strategically important because we count the whole year against the match, and we've got $9,000 to go to get in there. So come on, you guys. 1-800-347-5151.
Penna, let's, if we can, maybe talk about some of the reasons for support. Again, some people have been tuning in and out. Why would you say people should support Point of View?
Number one, because we need your gift to do what we do every day. We are listener-supported ministry. This is how we survive. God pours his resources through the listeners to support us, to cause us to be able to pay the bills and to do the research and everything that we have to do. Of course, radio. Also, another reason to give is because radio is so effective. It's a multiplier effect. Yep. It reaches so many people. And, of course, we broadcast over the internet also, so we reach a lot. And then the third reason that I've got is the match. We have a match now, so your gift will be doubled. Your pledge will be doubled, and that will count toward the amount that is given as a match. So, I mean, it's literally down to minutes, ladies and gentlemen. So I'd say make the decision now.
And some people are like in their car and they're thinking, well, I don't have any money available right now. I don't have they need to understand they don't have to. All they have to do is call the number and just give the pledge, and that will be taken care of later. It's just a pledge of what the Lord put on your heart to do. My number one really is just what we talked about. It's that you're going to hear things on Point of View that you will not hear anywhere else. And what reminds me of this the most, I don't know if you remember this, Kerby, but years ago, when they were having the Republican primary debates and Fox was hosting the debates, and they would not ask any questions on any social issues.
Yes, I remember
and it just showed the difference between the talk radio that was out there, Fox, etc., and a Christian station, a Christian analysis of this that was looking at, well, we need to know where these different people stand on all of the moral issues of the day. None of it was being discussed. The only place you heard that at that time was on Point of View.
Just before we come back and give you that phone number one more time, 800-347-5151, let's hear it from Ronnie once again.
I always wanted to give because I thought that Point of View really brings a lot of things out here in the open that you don't hear anywhere else. And it's unbelievable how much control they have over the minds of the people in this country and around the world. It's hard for me to believe that people fall for all of this junk that they spread around. But what I like, Kerby and Penna, and then back when Marlon was still announcing, I knew when I was hearing on there, well, I could count on it being something that you could check into it, and the proof would be there. I didn't have to wonder, well, where did they make that stuff up from? I just know that it's going to be facts. That's what I call true journalism and putting the stuff out. I really think that's great.
Truth journalism. Of course, that's Truth Team 360.
It is.
And if I look in there, it looks like everybody's on the line on this part, but then now it's overflowing.
That's
so
right.
Great.
We have other phones in the building that are picking up right now. 1-800-347-5151. We can. 1-800-347-5151. Another reason to give, we cover a variety of topics. Last month, I counted just half the month of October, 13 different topics were talked about, like the movie Woodlawn, entitlements, faith in the workplace. We talked about religious liberty, Hollywood and people of faith, on and on. It's all over the map, but it's really good stuff that you're not going to hear anywhere else.
I just heard that we're now 6,000 left, so
Okay.
we're really
close.
chipping away from it.
Okay.
And again, we're just about out of time. So even as we go off the air in just a few minutes, we need to certainly recognize that we'll continue to take your phone call. And of course, you can also go to the website.
24/7, 365. We do not take a break on the website.
We have never missed a match yet,
No.
so we're not going to miss this one, even if a lot of that will happen after we go off the
That's
air.
right.
So again, pointofview.net. But again, we'll take those phone calls for a while. 1-800-347-5151. Brad, before we run out of time, I want to thank you for sitting in with me all week.
It's been a great
really
week.
been something.
Thank you.
Penna, you and I have done this for years, but it has been great to work with you. And Kelly, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. You're heading off to Iowa, aren't you?
Yeah, there's a huge freedom conference, religious freedom conference there, and it's going on right now and tomorrow. And there's media from all over the country, and candidates, a lot of the presidential candidates. So
that's great.
Good things going on. But I'll leave here and go back to suing bad people. So I'll get back to work.
We're just about out of time. Any final words from you, Brad?
The phone number. Call. Please call. We really do need you. 1-800-347-5151. Come on, you guys. This country is worth it to keep Point of View on the air.
Concerned about the direction of this country, but this week we certainly had some encouraging news from these elections. If that's a preview of future elections, it's all the more reason to support this ministry. Just about out of time, so again, we will continue taking those phone calls. We'll let you know on Monday how it all turned out, and I guess that'll be the cliffhanger. So obviously, want to thank Andrew and Catherine and Chris for the help behind the scenes. Have a great day, a great weekend, and we'll be back with you on Monday.
Have you ever come across a coupon or discount for something you really wanted and you pull it out but discover it expired yesterday? Well, that's where we are in this week's special Truth Team 360 event. Every gift today will have double the normal impact with our match fund, making your single or monthly gift doubled. That means your $30 a month gift becomes $60 toward our total. $65 becomes $130. A $100 gift becomes $200 a month. But it all ends today, and I can honestly say we need your help. Please call or visit our website or mail that check. 1-800-347-5151. Online, it's pointofview.net. Whether you give one time or monthly, your gift will be doubled, but you must step up today. 800-347-5151 and pointofview.net. By mail, Point of View, Box 30, Dallas, Texas 75221. For whatever you can do, we thank you. Point of View is produced by Point of View Ministries.
I just thank God for y'all. I listen to you every day, truly. I wanted to thank y'all for everything you do each day to inform Christian families and our community about the things we can do, and just the way you're so informative. I listen to you daily and love you guys and appreciate you so much.
God bless you, Kerby, for keeping this show so on track and for the decades of wonderful help to this nation that Point of View has been. We're all big fans of your work, and we pray that God will just prosper it.
As a Christian, over the years that I've followed this program, I'm constantly challenged to be on guard and to evaluate what's going on. And if for no other reason, to protect the caliber and the truth of your programming, I need to participate and to back your program financially to ensure that the truth stays out there for people to hear, to view, and to be a part of.
This is Point of View Radio.